Hey folks, this is Felicia. I'm doing this little screencast to respond to some feedback I got in the course feedback form. So again, I want to remind folks that if you have input, good or bad, into the course, to please use the anonymous course feedback so I can see what things people are struggling with or if people have suggestions for improvements or changes. This particular feedback related to sort of workflow, how materials are organized and when things are due, and asking for some modifications. So first off, the feedback was wondering whether or not the syllabus, the print syllabus, could detail all of the items that are due each week, all of the exercises and everything within the print syllabus. I have not done that because each item has quite a number of items and often with handouts. Rather, I've opted in the printed syllabus to provide just a general outline, which are on pages 9 and 10 of the course, detailing all of the sessions, the date that each session starts, and then just give a basic kind of outline of how the course is going to run. And then each week, as each session is released, all of the materials you require for that week are contained within the session folder. So let me give you an example of that. So for session 3, which was the week we looked at more definitions and terminology, this was the week that started on Monday, February 13th, and went through Sunday, February 19th. We had what are common elements in most of the sessions. Again, my internet access is a little bit slow here, so they're taking some time for things to load. And again, you can see the title here at the top of the session folder, so showing the session, the topic, and then the dates of the session. So this is basically our course week. So if you want to think of the course as like, hey, I'm going to class on Monday, that would be fine. Or for you, it might be another day within that week. But if you could think of it as, okay, class, I'm going to class on Monday. Generally, each session is organized similarly. There's usually a welcome video. There then is followed a roadmap, which details each item you should be tackling for the week, followed by a lecture, which then also has the slides for the lecture underneath it, which you can print up and follow along. And then thanks to some previous course feedback, I've started to put the links that are in the lecture right here underneath the lecture, so that you can click on them as well. Then there are often the discussion board items, which are exercises and or requests for typical discussion board activities. So in this particular week, as you recall, we had 3 discussion board items here, each with a separate sort of activity. And then there are the readings and resources section, which are the readings for this week. So everything contained in this session 3 folder is for the session 3. It's for the week February 13th to February 19th. Everything is due within the context of that week. With all discussion board items, any exercises or discussion board items due on the following Monday, which in this case was February 20th, and they're all due at 9 a.m. So that is the case for every week. Discussion board items or exercises are due on Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, unless otherwise noted. And really the only times when it's otherwise noted is really things related to the midterm and the final. And even then, those items are often due on Monday at 9 a.m. as well. But they might be released a little further or a little earlier, but those deadlines are written right within the assignments for the midterm and the final. But these things are all due on the week of the Monday following the end of the session. So these were all due on the 20th. So that's how things are organized. I think the other part of the feedback I got was a request that there be a weekly class meeting date, like other online classes, where there's actually a live class online where everybody comes. I will say in the past, I have done that. This particular class and other classes have people who are in different time zones. So, and I was teaching for a while at UMass Boston in a program that was not the model, that everything was asynchronous and did not require anyone to be at a specific place or time during the course week. So instead of having a regular class session where some people might not be able to make it, given that they are not as inconvenient a time zone mode, I have sort of set up a kind of virtual lecture with all of the discussion board items and have made myself very available to people when they have questions or answers. Um, I know this doesn't work well for folks who are very used to kind of the weekly class in-person meeting or even sort of the online meeting in synchronous time. But that is how this particular course is organized. And I know that folks might be missing a little bit of that classroom interaction, and that's legitimate critique, but this is how this particular course is actually organized. I do think it is helpful in terms of thinking about keeping on top of materials, that if you look at the materials on the first day of what the session starts, and I will tell you, I actually release these materials often sooner, a day or two before the actual date listed, so there's even more time. But I think if you get in a habit of, let me look at the session materials on that Monday or by that Monday when they're released, really get a sense of all the work that is due for that week. Then budget appropriately, like when will you listen to the lecture? And if you think of the lecture as going to class, the lectures are never more than, they're usually about 30 to 45 minutes. They're never more than an hour. So if you think of them that way, that you're going to class and schedule a time of when you're going to listen to the lecture, and then schedule some additional time of think of the discussion, some of the discussion board items as though you were also doing some work in class, and schedule some time to do those. And then think of the remaining part of the readings and any follow-up with the discussion boards as sort of homework. You should be dedicating uh, anywhere from definitely you would normally spend about 3 hours in class in this course, as well as an additional 3 to 6 hours of out of class time engaging with homework and reading and other assignments. So you really should be budgeting somewhere between 6 and 9 hours a week to do this material. And hopefully that will be enough. Again, this in terms of the session materials, this is everything in the session folder is due for the week that is listed at the top of the folder, with the due date being the Monday that follow. This goes from Monday to Sunday, and the due date is Monday after the Sunday, the last day of the Sunday. So due date is the 20th, which is always that Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. So I hope that makes things a little bit clearer. I know it can be, the style of this class might not be super conducive to everybody, but I hope I've tried to make things as clear and organized as possible. And I thank folks for continuing to give feedback and allow me the opportunity to kind of make things clearer and hopefully explain things in a little bit more detail. If you want a fuller course tour, if you haven't looked at that yet, on the sidebar there is a course tour that kind of goes through all of how the course is structured again. I encourage you to look that over again if you haven't or you've forgotten it. But